Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone, then.
You go along to Peter Carey's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess! Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Mr. Holmes?
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
Mr. Holmes?
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and... oh dear.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam. These footprints appear to be quite large.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
Mr. Holmes?
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello, hello, hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool. What a terrible way to die. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book. A box or a small chest, perhaps. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. Harpoons for hunting whales. Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded. Someone drank from this glass recently. The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work. This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture. Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors. Rum, a sailor's drink. It seems that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook. The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey. These abbreviations mean something, but what? This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. This wooden handle is plain and solid. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed. Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. Dundee. Hammerfest. It's a whaling map. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain.
Mr. Holmes?
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky.
And why is that?
Because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oof, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us.
Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
These boots don't match the footprints. The ship... This place is not... An object was taken. The ship's logs of the sea...
We need to find a good place for an ambush. Perhaps behind Carey's cabin, near the window.
This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there.
Mr. Holmes?
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
What? But you can't! I'm not... It's a terrible mistake!
Enough. You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector. But please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning.
Mr. Holmes?
Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Can I help you?
Good morning, Constable. I would like to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight through. His belongings are held in the evidence room.
Thank you.
These are the suspect's belongings. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor. These abbreviations mean something, but what? And partner, 1883. From R. Dawson. To my friend, Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer. A handkerchief with the initials J.H.N. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. That is not... That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need. Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him. This is where I keep my post.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Locked.
Mr. Holmes?
Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh, no. I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out eventually, Mr. Nelligan. The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know. I didn't kill anyone.
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes. Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht, just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner. So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance. I need to stage a reconstruction. I am sure that Watson would be happy to oblige.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
"1883. That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. Log notes for June. Nothing unusual. Log notes for July. Nothing special. Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR, a torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen this abbreviation somewhere very recently. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn. The first 2 of these will require speaking with a dead man. The last would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
Something new, Watson. I have the list of sailors who were aboard the Sea Unicorn. We shall soon learn what happened to Nelligan's father. I have only to find them. Let us hope they're still working at the harbour.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard...
I doubt it, Watson. And really, I would prefer that all of this remains quiet for now. But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And who might they be?
The secret police division of Baker Street.
Ah, you mean young Wiggins and his gang?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins than from a dozen yard detectives. Those children are everywhere. They see and hear everything, and they are cunning. All they lack is organization. I'll summon them.
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him. A spot of whaling, Watson. Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No, but we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's murder.
A reenactment, then? Is something bothering you?
The sailor's knife, Watson. Why was it on the floor?
Peter Carey attempted to defend himself?
It is possible. But if that is the case, then it alters many things.
I don't quite follow you.
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man, morphologically, I mean?
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before. On the Ripper case, I believe. Do you want to slit some more pigs' throats?
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson, let us pay a visit to our butcher friend in Whitechapel. We require the carcass of a well-fed pig.
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do quite nicely.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, I need you to track down certain people for me. I'll give you a list. You can read, can't you?
Big Oliver from our gang. He can, because his father is the coachman of a famous lawyer.
Fascinating. Here is the list of sailors.
Sailors? Easy. Just got to look where the rum and the red lights are.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'll be there shortly.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad to see you.
As always, what happened?
We have a new suspect, Liam Hurtley. I'm thinking that this case will be resolved very quickly now.
Interesting. Pray tell.
Well, the constable that I left at Woodman's Lee noticed a suspicious individual prowling around during the night.
Do you have him here?
Yes. He refuses to speak with us, but we'll make him talk.
Let us hope so.
Ah, yes, and one more thing. The constable told me that at the time of his arrest, the fellow was writing a letter.
Do you have it?
Of course. It's in the evidence room, at your disposal. Admit that for once, Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, eh?
Breathtaking.
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
These are the suspect's belongings. Liam Hurtley's old boots. They're a size 9.5. The stains are fresh. They can be removed with the proper chemicals. A pen. Nothing unusual about it.
Mr. Holmes?
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I would like to ask you a few questions.
I've already told the police that I've nothing to say. And you're not even part of the police.
Precisely. And considering your situation, it might be wise to speak with someone who is, shall we say, rather more neutral. You are a suspect in a murder case.
I know. Inspector Lestrade told me. It's ridiculous.
Could you at least tell me who you are? And exactly what happened that you should be brought here?
My name is Liam Hurtley. That I can tell you. But you're not getting any more than that.
Well, we shall see. That's all for now.
I'm not saying another word.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
I need to take a harpoon with me. These boots match the footprints exactly. That should do it. Now I am ready for the experiment. Does the name Liam Hurtley mean anything to you?
No, I don't know anyone by that name.
Thank you, madam.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise, yet.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test. Holmes, you should try to aim better. The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength to pierce it straight through.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
My analysis table. It is useful for my work.
A new suspect, but this one refuses to talk. This case is more interesting than I first imagined.
I need to prepare a chemical agent that is capable of removing fresh ink. For this purpose, the chemicals from the flasks should be combined in a certain order to perform a chain reaction. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent. Done. Now I can proceed further. Let us see if the content of this letter sheds a little light upon the mystery. I did as you asked and hid them well. Interesting. How would Hurtley react to this? Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
The second pair of boots that you had with you when you were arrested perfectly match the footprints found near the cabin where Peter Carey was murdered.
Footprints? That's your proof? How many men have boots like mine? That doesn't make me a murderer.
Now that your presence at Woodman's Lee has been proven, would you care to explain it?
I don't remember. What would I be doing there anyway?
Because you are the gardener at Woodman's Lee.
I'm not. How did you...
I observed your hands. They told me that you work with the earth. Small fragments of plants snagged to your trousers indicate that you were mowing very recently. But the most obvious clue presented itself in the bird embroidered on your handkerchief. A crested tit, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, you got me. Yes, I am a gardener, and I went there to get my tools.
So tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what did you hide?
Hide? What are you talking about?
I did as you asked and hid them well. Should I continue?
My letter? But the ink? That's impossible.
A touch of chemistry, nothing special.
Well, you're a smart one. But it's nothing. If you want to know, I was referring to my tools. It was to do with my work, see?
I will check that, Mr. Hurtley. That's all for now. Hurtley's stories are false leads, but now I know one thing for certain. I must examine the site where the garden tools are kept at Woodman's Lee.
I'm not saying another word.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Madam, we have information that the valuable stolen papers are hidden amongst the garden tools here at Woodman's Lee. We need to find them.
Oh, my. Our tools are kept inside the shed that's right behind me. Here is the key to open it.
Thank you, madam. Let's see what could be hidden here. Let us see what is in this box. Bundle of letters in a woman's hand with the Carey family monogram. Hurtley and Mrs. Carey were in a relationship. That is interesting. Madam, I am aware of your affinity with Liam Hurtley.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Mrs. Carey, we found your letters.
My letters? I asked Liam to return them to me. I wanted to burn them.
Why did Mr. Hurtley put them inside the garden shed?
I don't know. I wanted them back, but I couldn't see him, not after what happened.
Well, here they are.
Oh, this is terrible. Terrible. Liam, how could he? After what he has done.
You believe that he killed your husband?
No, I do not know. I do not know. Leave me alone, please.
Thank you, madam. I wonder if Wiggins has managed to find any sailors.
Mr. Holmes, we found the sailors from that list you gave us.
Well done, Wiggins. Let me see. This man is a harpooner, and his initials are PC, the same initials that were found on the tobacco pouch. Wiggins, could you gather some information on one of the sailors that you found? His name is Patrick Cairns.
We found Patrick Cairns.
Good job, Wiggins. Where is he?
He lives in a small furnished dump of a room, but he's always at the Sea Witch pub, where he does arm wrestles for money and drinks.
Excellent. Here is your reward. 2 guineas.
Thank you, sir.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
If I wish to speak to Cairns without alarming him, I had better dress as a sailor. Now I can approach Cairns and see if he recognizes the pouch. Hello there. Are you Cairns?
What do you want?
We've heard all about the gambling and arm wrestling here. You seem like the likely sort, and I'm up for it.
I start at 10 shillings.
Suits me.
You were lucky. I wasn't focused. Let's go again.
I'm ready to try again.
Fine. If you want me to take all your money, no problem with that. Well, good for you, I reckon. You're stronger than you look. Here's your 10 shillings.
I'd like to buy you a drink.
Good winner as well. That's good. Let's have a drink. You're a good type. Seems you've managed to settle down in life. You've got money, eh?
Not all that much.
Oh, well. At least you're not as poor as me.
Why do you say poor? You're not working?
I'm a harpooner. But you see, the whalers are rare. They don't pay much. So, as a result, find myself arm wrestling to pay for my drink.
A harpooner? Interesting. You've had a lot of adventures, I bet.
Ah, of course. It's been a dozen years since I've sailed. I've seen everything. Old Wallace, damn Black Peter, Great Roger. We sailed to the Cape of Good Hope.
Black Peter, you say? I've heard rumours about that one.
He was the worst of them all. He was a liar, and violent too. Swinging those fists of his around. He was a tyrant, and not much of a captain. At least, not as good as Great Roger.
I see. Yes. I was told terrible tales about Black Peter.
But you ain't heard the worst.
Tell me, and let's have another drink.
It was in 1883 that it happened. The August of that year. Peter Carey was captain of the Sea Unicorn, and I was a spare harpooner. We were coming out of the ice pack on our way home. One evening, we saw a little craft that had been blown north. There was only one man on her, and he wasn't a sailor. The crew must have thought that she'd foundered, and they made for the Norwegian coast in the dinghy. I guess they all drowned. We took the man on board.
And who was he?
I don't know. During the crossing, he and the skipper enjoyed some long talks. His baggage was just a tin box.
That's strange enough.
Aye. Even stranger was that on the second night, he disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to him. And of course, Nobody could ask Black Peter about it.
You know what happened, don't you?
I do. I saw the skipper tie his heels and push him over the rail in the middle of my watch on that dark night. 2 days before we sighted the Shetland lights.
Black Peter's a murderer.
Aye. Those that know him wouldn't be surprised to hear it. But all this must stay between us. All right?
Of course. Back in a second. I'm off to the Ghazi.
I'll be here with my drink.
Here it is. Have you got any tobacco? I've run out of mine.
Nah, I lost my pouch. I don't know where. Wait a minute. What's this?
Oh, is this your tobacco pouch?
Well, oh, it is.
Well, I have to go now. I know a captain who's planning an expedition to Cape Cod. Captain Ahab's his name. He commanded the Pequod. He might need good harpooners. I'll tell him about you.
Maybe. If you like, aye.
I'm done here. It's time to leave.
I'm not saying another word.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Mr. Holmes?
These are the suspect's belongings. I wonder if these are connected. Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however.
I'm not saying another word.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, what exactly were you hoping to find inside Peter Carey's cabin?
I was trying to find some information about my father.
I assume you had another purpose, to retrieve the bond certificates. Am I correct?
Yes. I discovered some time ago that a few of the missing securities had reappeared on the London market. You can imagine my amazement. I spent months trying to find them, and at last I discovered that the original seller had been Captain Peter Carey. These papers, they belonged to my family, but I could not find them there.
That's all for now. Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Please, let me go. What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
I'm not saying another word.
These are the suspect's belongings.
そうだな。4割点で6割台ヤマハート。おそらく主犯はハートレイク戦だけど逆転もありえるんだよな。でも主犯もどうやらハートレイクが入るのがもうそう食わないから質問ですかね。
I'm not saying another word.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
で、共犯されたことに関するこんな中でこのライアンハートレが元兵士だったとなんだよな。元兵士だから槍をうまく使う可能性があるっていう結論。もしくは2人がかりでやった。受注白ハートレイの主犯なんだけど、 凶暴が単独犯罪。まあ、単純に殺した後に盗みに来たところ見られてっていうのもあり得るし、最初から2人組んで殺害もあり得る。間違いなく殺したのはハードルなのは間違いない。有価証券隠す必要ないからな、パトリック・ケアンズの場合。ジョン・ネリヒュンの主犯にするにはちょっとやりっていうか森は無理だな。だからハートレーなのは間違いないが、凶暴なのか、単独なのか、主犯がどっちなのか、殺した後に共犯になったのか、殺す前から共犯だったのか。手紙の内容を見る限りで言うと、殺した後に脅されてる気がしないでもない。悪いことを恥ずべきことは何もしていない。まあ、これはおそらく有価証券の盗みだな。問題は、あなたに僕は脅されていたんだ、みたいな感じになると、心が手伝わされた可能性もゼロじゃない。というか、これペンキで塗られてピンクに盗まれてもな。むずい。一番あり得るのは、やっぱ主犯、凶暴に近いんだけど、この手紙を見る限り、もともとのこの紙にちょっとインクっていうよりチームみたいなのがついてる感じはしないでもないけどな。殺したいほどだったのかと言われたら、おそらく事件性自体ももともと弊社だった。ルーツの問題があるんだよな。おそらくテーブルの上に先があったから、飲んで忘れたのはまあ間違いない。酔っ払ってたまたま刺しちゃったとか、ゼロじゃないけど。だとすると共同は、森とこの息子になるわけだから。 人でやったにしてはちょっと難しいんじゃないかな。まあそれはそれで、なんであんなとこに手帳が落ちたのかって気になるな。ナイフもそうだし。順番的に言えば、盛り付けやってきて魚に酔っ払ってるところに庭師が来て盛り。このタイミングで入ってくる可能性がゼロかどうか。一緒にいる可能性がゼロかどうか。どうだろうな。四角だったら割りかしあるんだよな。そう、ハードウェイの指示に従っていただけだった。これならあり得る。問題は、単純に、あれっすよね。このハートウェイ君が、バッサリやっちゃった後、あ、やべやべやべって、無理やりやったかって感じだよな。そう。でもまあ、凶暴だろうな、さすがに。さすがに凶暴だと思うんだよな。恥ずべき行為はしてないとは言ってたけど。まあ、それでも窃盗はしてるしな。微妙なところ。ケアンズが犯人もさすがにないかな。酔っ払って倒しちゃったっていうのもないかな。さすがに。ナイフが邪魔だからな、その場合。酔っ払ってたらいきなりナイフ取り出すのも無理だろう。ある程度理性がある状態で戦い可能性が高い。とりあえずやっぱ凶暴なんだよな。よし、決めた。決めました。凶暴でいきます。凶暴。ハートレイが主犯格。これにします。
The case is solved. I am now ready to present the guilty party.
So tell me, who killed Black Peter?
There are two culprits, Inspector, Nelligan and Hurtley.
What? Well, I would never have guessed, Mr. Holmes. They are a rotten pair, though.
It was a combination of two motives, culminating in one crime.
What were their motives?
The first was revenge. Black Peter possessed the bond certificates that had belonged to Nelligan's father, and young Nelligan wished to retrieve them.
And the second?
The second was a crime of passion. Liam Hurtley was in love with Black Peter's wife, and this caused a conflict between him and Carrie.
Well, well, well. Makes sense, Mr. Holmes.
I suggest that you organize a small confrontation between the two, just to confirm my accusations.
That's a good idea, Mr. Holmes. I'll talk to these fellows. Join me in the interrogation room. Gentlemen, we know everything about your association to kill Black Peter. Admit that you planned it together.
Our association? I don't even know this man.
You needed to kill Peter Carey. There had to be two of you there.
Ridiculous. I'm innocent.
All that remains is to determine the level of guilt. Which one of you is the initiator in this case?
But I just told you I've never seen this man before.
It's him. He's the culprit. He was forcing me. He threatened me. He's the mastermind behind it all.
Shut up. You're a lunatic.
Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes?
Both are guilty, of course, but I believe that Hurtley was the initiator of the crime.
It's ridiculous. Why would I need the help of this weakling?
You wanted to be rid of the man who was terrorizing his wife, and who prevented the two of you from being together. Young Nelligan was just following his lead.
You are wrong. I have nothing whatsoever to do with this.
You'll explain that to the judge.
The case is resolved, Inspector. I shall return to Baker Street.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Goodbye for now.
これ失敗したくないか。これ失敗したくね。全部見るか。それらしいな。まあ。いや、でも、これが正しいと思うんだけどな。違うんかな。ちょっと見てみようかな、他の。なんか、白切ってるだけなのに気にしないじゃないけど。どうなんだろうな。じゃあ今度ネイリガンのシャンクやってみようか。ちょっと見てみた。
The case is solved. There are...
What?
It was a...
What?
The second was a crime of passion. Liam...
Well, well...
I said...
That's it. Gentlemen, we know everything about your association.
Our association? I don't even know this man.
You needed to kill Peter Carey. There had to be two of you there.
Ridiculous. I'm innocent.
All that remains is to determine the level of guilt. Which one of you is the initiator in this case?
But I just told you I've never seen this man before.
It's him. He's the culprit. He was forcing me. He threatened...
Shut up. You're a lunatic.
Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes?
Inspector, I believe that Nelligan is the true culprit. Hurtley was his accomplice, blinded by his love for Peter's wife.
You've got it wrong. It isn't true.
That's right. I confess.
Well, young man, it turns out you are the gang leader. I don't fancy your chances now.
The case is resolved, Inspector. I shall return to Baker Street.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Goodbye for now.
なんか微妙だな、どれも。まあこれ、最終的な問題はあれだからな、全部。この結末を決めた後にちょっとエピローグが流れるだけだからな。どれも微妙だな。ありそう。普通にありそうなんだよな。
The case is...
So...
It was...
That doesn't surprise me.
He was in love with Judith...
I see.
Liam Hurtley. You are formally accused of the... He was a violent and irascible man.
But that's absurd. I'm innocent.
Well, we caught you, lad.
The case is resolved in...
Very well, Mr.
これ凶暴じゃなくすることもできそうだけどな。これもうちょっと、なんかもう一つ結末あり。やっぱあったか。
The case is solved. I am now ready to present the guilty party.
So tell me, who killed Black Peter?
It was John Nelligan, Inspector.
I thought as much, but I failed to see his motive.
Revenge, Inspector. Black Peter possessed the bond certificates that had belonged to Nelligan's father, and young Nelligan wished to retrieve them.
Well then, I'll arrest this Nelligan. I don't fancy his chances of getting out of prison after this.
I will accompany you, Inspector. John Nelligan, it was you who killed Black Peter. You attempted to convince him to return the bond certificates, and you threatened to call the police. Peter Carey was drunk. He drew his knife. In panic, you took the harpoon and made your lucky throw in self-defense. Put that in your report, Lestrade.
No, I didn't kill anyone. You have it all wrong.
You better thank Mr. Holmes for saving your neck, Nelligan.
The case is resolved.
Very well.
ありえそう。ありえそうだな。エピローグの後の罪の章もあるからな。いや、どう考えても今日だと思うんだけどな。はぁ。 やっぱ一番当初にな、あれだよな、やっぱ、なんか脅されてるようなこと言ってたんだよな。ネリガン君なんか脅されてるんです、みたいなこと言ってた気がするんだよな。そう。1対1ならまず大変なことにならねえだろうし、鋭いナイフが問題なんだよな。マジでこれだけなんだよな、謎なの。それで全て証拠使われてんだけど、このナイフだけが一体誰のもので、なぜ使おうとしたのかが分かってないんだよな。マジでこれなんかあれだよな。主犯にも取れるし、主犯じゃないようにも取れる。僕たちの誓いだよな、マジで。頼まれたようにって言ってるしな。でも脅されてるだけだったら誓いとかいう言葉使わないよな。最後の一文、あなたに僕は脅されていたんだ。か、あなたに僕は頼んだんだ。とか、そういう流れなんだよな。あの箱自体は事件とは関係ない。問題があるとするならば、その恋文の共犯者として知られたくない。つまりやろうとしたのは実行犯がいないことを示し、なおかつ事件に進むこと。 だから、まあ実行犯いないから自分は犯人できないでしょってネリガンが仕組んだように思えなくもない。そっか。もういいや、もう。面白そうでありそうな方行くか。ネリガン行くか。ネリガン手法で行きますか。ぶっちゃけこれ脅されてるっていう意味だったら違う必要ないもんな。これは隠されてるカップじゃないんだよな。これは隠されてるカップじゃないんだよな、確か。問題があるとすればこれなんだよな。これがこの箱なのか。試合なんだよな。ネリアンシャンですか。ハートレイが春学のように感じなくもないが。近いとは言わんよな。いわゆる実行犯と計画犯の違いだもんな。
The case is solved. There.
What?
It was
What?
the first. The second.
Well,
Nice.
that's a... Gentlemen, we know everything about your association.
Our association? I don't even know this man.
You needed to kill Peter Carey.
Ridiculous. I'm innocent.
All that remains is to determine the level of guilt. Which one of you is the initiator?
But I just told you I've never seen this man before.
It's him. He's the culprit. He was forcing me. He threatened me. He's the mastermind behind it all.
Shut up. You're a lunatic.
Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes?
Inspector, I believe that Nelligan is the true culprit. Hurtley was his accomplice, blinded by his love for Peter's wife.
You've got it wrong. It isn't true.
That's right. I confess.
Well, young man, it turns out you are the gang leader. I don't fancy your chances now.
The case is resolved, Inspector. I shall return to Baker Street.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Goodbye for now.
間違いない。けど、なんだろうな、ネイリガンが否定するときは、まあまあまあまあまあ、みたいな感じのとき、一切ないんよな。ハートレイは、まあ、共犯は認めますけど、みたいなこと言ってるけど、ネイリガンはそもそも絶対自分なんてやってねえぞっていう感じなんだよな。そこなんすよね。まあ、普通にハートレーションだと思うけどな。普通にハートレーションでいくか。
The case is solved. There.
What?
It was a.
What were
The first.
And
The second was a crime of.
well,
I suggest.
that's a gentlemen. We know
Our association? I don't even know this man.
you needed to kill Peter Carey. There had to be.
Ridiculous.
All that remains is.
But I just told you I've never seen this man before.
It's him. He's the culprit. He was forcing me. He threatened me. He's the mastermind behind it all.
Shut up. You're a lunatic.
Well, it all seems very clear, don't you think, Mr. Holmes?
Both are guilty, of course, but I believe that Hartley was the initiator of the crime.
It's ridiculous. Why would I need the help of this weakling?
You wanted to be rid of the man who was terrorizing his wife, and who prevented the two of you from being together. Young Nelligan was just following his lead.
You are wrong. I have nothing whatsoever to do with this.
You'll explain that to the judge.
The case is resolved, Inspector. I shall return to Baker Street.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. Goodbye for now.
前作だったらな、完全な回答をした場合、結論のところが緑になったんだ。今回は悪の桃だな。まあ間違ってる可能性もゼロじゃないんだ。もうこれでいいか。脅されてたことは間違いない。殺した後に脅したのか、殺す前に脅したのかはわからない。証明のしようがない。だが、確実に共謀してると感じる。でも酔っ払いが白したって可能性もゼロじゃないんだよな。これ犯人が3人いるから面白いよな。これもう一つの結末もありそうだな。森月とネリガンのあれもあるよね。多分あると思うんだよな。 です。どうして一日かと思うんだけどな。
Good afternoon. I must be at the wrong address. I'd like to speak with the ship's captain, a Captain Ahab. Is that you?
No.
That detective fella?
That is... About Black Peter.
You know?
Yes.
How?
The tobacco pouch.
Oh, the sailor. It was you. Unbelievable. Well, fine. I confess. But if you really do know everything, you should also know that I didn't want to kill him. He made me do it.
I know. Did you know about...
Yeah. I just wanted him to cough up a little silver. I'm out of work, and I thought maybe he could help me. Well, he refused outright, and he insulted me. I reminded him I knew all about that murder he committed at sea in 1883. Then he got mad when I spoke about his treasure. I barely just had time to throw the harpoon at him before...
I ask that you return the bond certificates. Keep some of them. You will need them in your exile. It is better that you leave the country for a few years.
And you won't say anything to the police?
I will not say anything as long as you return the money.
Well, I'll do as you ask. But what about Inspector Lestrade?
I will deal with him. Goodbye.
It's good that you asked me to come, Mr. Holmes. We do need to talk.
About what?
What do you mean? Our case, Mr. Holmes. You sent me a message via your little thug.
His name is Wiggins, Inspector.
Telling me that the case is solved. Well, Mr. Holmes.
The morgue.
Eh?
His name is, or rather was, Pablo Coventrao. He was also on the ship with Peter Carey, and he was a harpooner. I'll tell you everything, Inspector, but do calm down. Mrs. Hudson will bring us tea and orange cake.
Orange cake? You're spoiling me, Mr. Holmes. That's my favourite.
I believe that this belongs to you.
My father's securities. Incredible! But how did you get them?
It would take far too long to explain.
Tell me. This is extraordinary. You are a genius.
Then that may serve as an explanation.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes. And thank you. 1,000 times thank you.
一番あり得たやつか。だよな。これだよな。そうだよな。有価証券のこと知ってたから、盗んでもおかしくなかったんだよな。これが多分、これ、犯人なんだよな。だよな。これが真相なんだよな。緑だもんな。外れた。まあ、そんな気してたんだよな。あの靴全然関係ねえんじゃねえかって。あの靴全然関係ねえんじゃねえかって思ってたんだよな。やったなぁ。まあこれが正解でしょう。やったわ。やっぱ私はバカですね。なんでこう、変に考えすぎるかな。絶対無駄だったわ、今のやつ。だね。難しく考えすぎるね。考えすぎだな。だよな、もうそんな気したんだよな。有価証券のことを知ってて森を投げれて、金が欲しかった人。 おそらくもうこれしかねえだろうなと思ってはいたんだけど、こいつか。
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Holmes, could you explain it to me?
As I informed you on our way here.
Why bring me here? Wouldn't it be better if we were out looking for him?
That would be futile, as he will be with us in approximately 12 seconds.
Oh, well, if this is your idea of humour...
No, I just heard the front door. Prepare yourself.
Good day, gentlemen. A young lad gave me a note from Captain Ahab. Am I at the right address? Is he here?
Indeed, it is the correct address. But in place of your captain, may I present to you Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard?
That means...
It means, my friend, that you are arrested for the murder of Black Peter.
What? What? A trap? You think you can take me?
Here now. We'll have none of that.
And I say that we will.
Lestrade, are you all right? Are you able to stand?
Oh, my jaw. Gore. He took me by surprise, Mr. Holmes. Otherwise, he would have seen what I'm capable of. Oh.
Yes, he was lucky.
Ah. But you got him.
It was remarkably easy. He lost his balance after he struck you.
And you practice boxing, I know. You must have hit him hard. Our fellow is knocked out.
We should call for a police cab and then take you to the hospital.
Yes, well, no need for a hospital. I would prefer to keep this between us. You know.
Of course, Inspector. The case is closed.
ちょっと笑っちゃったよ。普通に笑っちゃったよな。しかもなんか、ミニゲームだし。まさか銃持ってるやつに対して、まあ、この時代あれなんだっけ、警察が銃持ってるってわけじゃないんだっけ、必要に応じて持ち出すタイプなんだっけ、まさか警察だけに、しょっぱな殴るとはな、やるな、ちょっと油断したわ。まあ、なるほどね。どっちみちこいつが犯人なのは間違いないな。金が欲しかったのはその通り。有価証券を知ってるのもその通り。森をつけるのもその通り。まあこういう系は登場人物一番遅いやつが犯人説多いからな、割かし。だとしても、それがブラフの可能性もあるっていう。とりあえず、ケイアンズが犯人なのは間違いないのか。どんでん返しを狙いすぎたな。面白い方、これだったら面白いだろうなっていうのを、安直なやつを外したか。安直ですね。それこそ。当然の帰結だろう。まあ、おそらく正当防衛だろうな。じゃないとナイフがいらんからな、普通。いや、ナイフがいるのか。どうだろう。 正当防衛の時、森を投げる。入ってきて、酒飲んで、森を投げるタイミング。焦った人、ナイフと反撃。あり得る。逆に、酒飲んで、酔っ払って、ナイフを突き出され、正当防衛、森。どっちもあり得るなぁ。いきなりナイフもあり得るし、正当防衛でナイフもあり得るけど、最初からナイフを投げつけるつもりだったら、最初から森を投げつけるつもりだったらナイフじゃどうにもならんよな。どう考えて。最初から狂気が森なら、ナイフはどうやっても届かんし、防御策でもない。そんなことだったら、ガードをかけて、上半身を防御した方が、よっぽど守れる。まあ、おそらく正当防衛なんだろうな。結局、誰に襲われたんだろうな。これもしかして6番目の事件と関わってくるのかな。そうすると、誰かに落とされてたのは間違いない。全員が繋がってる可能性もゼロじゃないんだけど。改めて整理すると、なるほどなってことを考えると、あれか、こいつがやっちゃった後に、盗みに入ろうとした。けど、庭師に見られた。で、庭師が脅して、って感じになっちゃうのかな。いいかな。もうようわかんねえな。裏の裏を読みすぎて、なんかよくわかんねえな、もう。さすがに2人でやるのは無理があったか。元軍人だから、あり得ると思ったんだろうな。これは、モリガンとハートレーの誓い。お互い殺してないし、お互い何も言わない。的なね。これも関係ないにするとか。まあ、自転 で、ナイフだけどうしようかな、じゃあ。これで言うと証券の価値だ。こうやった。どうだろうな、俺の株がくれてるなら、高先生コンシスト5年酔っ払ってること前提だからな。まあいいか、見ますか。捕まえた方が面白いんだけど、でもユーザーにスップを選ぶと有価証券がどっかに行ったっていうのは探されないんだよな。でもこいつ知らんってわけじゃないんだよな。タバコもやるし、酒を飲むが、あの感じだと知らんって感じじゃないんだよな。正当な漁師って感じなんだよ。金はねえし、大変なんだろう。もう一回見て。まあ多分これでいいと思うんだけど。
Good afternoon. I must be at the wrong address. I'd like to speak with a ship's captain, a Captain Ahab. Is that you?
No, my name is Sherlock Holmes.
That detective fella? So, you wanted to see me?
That is correct. We need to talk.
About what?
About Black Peter, who was killed in his own hut with a harpoon.
You know, don't you?
Yes.
How?
The tobacco pouch. You recognized it.
Oh, the sailor. It was you. Unbelievable. Well, fine. I confess. But if you really do know everything, you should also know that I didn't want to kill him. He made me do it.
I know. Did you know about this story with the bond certificates? Did you need money?
Yeah. I just wanted him to cough up a little silver. I'm out of work, and I thought maybe he could help me. Well, he refused outright, and he insulted me. I reminded him I knew all about that murder he committed at sea in 1883. Then he got mad when I spoke about his treasure. I barely just had time to throw the harpoon at him before he could jump at me with his knife. You know the truth. What will you do now?
I ask that you return the bond certificates. Keep some of them. You will need them in your exile. It is better that you leave the country for a few years.
And you won't say anything to the police?
I will not say anything as long as you return the money.
Well, I'll do as you ask. But what about Inspector Lestrade?
I will deal with him. Goodbye.
It's good that you asked me to come, Mr. Holmes. We do need to talk.
About what?
What do you mean? Our case, Mr. Holmes. You sent me a message via your little thug.
His name is Wiggins, Inspector.
Telling me that the case is solved. Well, Mr. Holmes, tell me, who is our murderer and where is he?
The morgue.
Eh?
His name is, or rather was, Pablo Coventrao. He was also on the ship with Peter Carey, and he was a harpooner. I'll tell you everything, Inspector, but do calm down. Mrs. Hudson will bring us tea and orange cake.
Orange cake? You're spoiling me, Mr. Holmes. That's my favourite.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. Inspector Lestrade told me that I should thank you for clearing my name. He also said that you were waiting for me here. I came as fast as I could. I cannot thank you enough. It is all because of you that this nightmare is finally over.
I believe that this belongs to you.
My father's securities. Incredible! But how did you get them?
It would take far too long to explain.
Tell me. This is extraordinary. You are a genius.
Then that may serve as an explanation. Goodbye, Mr. Nelligan, and good luck.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes. And thank you. 1,000 times thank you.
まあ、これだろうな。途中まではよかった。進行度8割まではよかった。9割と10割の時点で間違えたね。マジで8割まではまだ途中までよかったんだよな。途中までよかった。途中までは良かったが、結末を間違えた。関係ない証拠は見つめすぎたな。どうしても裏を探りたくなる。バカですね。これより事件が最終的に完了します。個人成績、人格順位、哀れみの心。あ、これ、なるほど。放免するか、放免しないかで変わりになったのか。わー、一事件1パートにしたい。けどなんかこれもったいないなこのまま終わらせんの。どうすっか、これ。もったいねえな、なんか。このままいきます、じゃあけどもう一つの事件も見たい。もう一つの事件見たいな触りだけ見るか。触り見ちゃったらやりたいよなんだろう。とりあえず見るか。
This trip to the countryside will be good for you, Holmes. As your friend and your doctor, I really do recommend that you give yourself a complete change of scene. Fresh air, brisk walks, bird watching, chopping wood.
Sounds intolerable. I mean, certainly it sounds delightful.
But you haven't yet told me who your friend is, the one we're going to visit.
He is a bee lover.
A bee lover? Do you mean that he keeps bees? That must be Mrs. Hudson, bringing the warm cloth that I requested.
There is someone to see you, Mr. Holmes.
I have no time. Send whoever it is away.
Yes, Holmes, I really think we ought to leave now.
Mycroft.
Sherlock.
Oh, Mr. Holmes? Perhaps you don't remember me. I'm Dr. Watson. We met at the Diogenes Club a few years ago. I documented our encounter in a short story I gave the title The Greek Interpreter.
He does remember you, Watson. My brother remembers everything, and that is why he is so valuable to the government.
We're about to depart for the train station.
I know.
You know?
Sherlock, I need your help.
There are people who presently threaten both our country and the Crown itself. You must help us with those methods of yours.
Need? Help? Those are not words I would readily associate with you, Mycroft.
I wrote you a letter, but you did not reply. And this is not about politics. It's about people. People similar to those whom you pretend to defend in your petty detective affairs.
Everything is about politics with you, Mycroft. I'm not interested. Have some of your agents, your spies, or worse, undertake this job of yours. You are defending your people, and they have little to do with the people I choose to help, I can assure you.
That's the point. You think exactly as they do.
Who are they?
The Merry Men. He is talking about the Merry Men, a band of idealistic terrorists.
Sherlock, do please think about it. They are planning something diabolical. Your country needs you.
You need me, Mycroft, and you are not the country. Although if your waistline expands very much further...
Mrs. Hudson, tea will not be necessary. Dr. Watson, the train conductor, Mr. Parker, is aware that you will be 7 minutes late. You are in the 4th car. The train will be waiting for you. Sherlock, enjoy your time in Staffordshire. And do, please, at least write to me on your return.
なるほど。そういうことか。多分、このゲームでの決着はメリーランか。なるほどね。
This is where I keep my post.
ピーター・キャリー、ブラック・ピーターとして知られているのを夏に事件解決したキャリーの元捕鯨者の一人、パブロ・フェラントはピーター・キャリーの初任犯だ。スコットランドヤードの信頼すべき筋から得た証拠によって付けられた。しかしながら、大きな刑は行うことはできなかった。コメントラーはすでに死亡した。自然死だった。だが、カイド氏は恐ろしい罪を賢くかと奇跡の念が原因だったかもしれない。森。まあ、これに関して言うと、言わないっていう考えがイメージだけど、タイトルによっても結構犯人がわかりますからな、このゲーム。和訳がしっかりしてるようでしっかりしてないことが多いから、なんか直訳してた場合もあるから、誰が犯人なのかちょっとさせちゃうところが問題なんだよな。消えない。なるほどな。ちょっと時系列が甘いような気もするが、犯人は違う人ってことになってたな。つまり。ブラックピーターとピーター・キャリーは同一人物であり、ブラックピーターは箱に人を殺害し、 まあいろいろブラックなことを面白りしたわけですが、みたいな感じの話だよな。まあ全部しようことがないわけですけど。
Look after Mrs. Hudson for us, Toby.
何年だろうな。多分、金塊とかわかんないけど、事件かもしくは、次回作に登場するキャラクターの可能性があるんだよな。
Holmes, please call a cab while I pack my suitcase. We shall be late for the train.
そうだな。まあ、いいところ、これが聞いていいところって言えば聞いていいところなんだけど、終わるか、さすがに。下りすぎだな。というか、裏を読みすぎた。もっとシンプルに考えればよかった。でもさすがだな、なんか面白いな、普通に面白い。なんか、どうって感じで、なんかアクション重視の探偵ものも多いけど、アクションなくてもただ解いてるだけでは面白いっていう感じだな。てか環境もいいよな、単純にこれ。基本的に SE のみで BGM ないんだよな。だからマジで無駄がない。しかもこれ値段が安いかな、この先ね。6つのチャプター4500円ですよ。こういう作品としてはまあ安いんじゃないかなって思いますね。いや、6つの時間こんだけボリュームあって。まあ一番目がそこそこの量、2、3が軽い、4、5、6、5あたりが重い。みたいな感じなんだけど。まあ、それ含めとしても、だいぶね、ボリュームがある。さて。いや、やりたいな。パートは分けるか、でも。スキーノーツか。せっかくだから。続きはするが、続きを作ると思うか。撮ろう。お疲れ様でした。
A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
前作で使ってね、地図。この服が一番ホームズっぽいかも。私のイメージする。で、この帽子か。この帽子が一番ホームズっぽいかもしれない。イメージだけど。ワートさん2個もこれが一番イメージ通りに近い。挿絵とかの影響なのかな、もしくはなんか他のやつで、なんか出てくるキャラクターみたいな。シルエットとして登場するのはこういう感じなのかな。なんか、とりあえず一度区切って再開するか。とりあえず、チャプター1。ブラックピーターの人。運命か。ブラックピーター運命。 ブラックエイトの運命でした。犯人はケアンス。正当防衛だと思われる。犯人の可能性もあるな。というわけで、終わりです。お疲れ様でした。